Hey everybody, thanks for joining me again. This is lesson 11. Today we're going to talk a little bit about picking technique, specifically mine. And I'm not going to tell you that this is the only way to do it or the only right way to do it, but I'll show you how I do it. And maybe that will give you some stuff to practice or some insight, and maybe it'll even help a few of you. So let's get started. All right. Okay, here we are, lesson 11. We're going to talk about pick technique, and the first thing we'll talk about is the picks that I'm using. For years I used just Fender heavy, but for the last, I guess, couple of years I've been using Golden Gate mandolin picks. I like them. They're really heavy. I have really big hands. I'm 6'5", and so these picks fit into my hand very comfortably. You'll notice that they don't have a sharp point. I like using the round end, and all the years that I used the Fender Heavies, I always turned the pick around and used the round end instead of the pointed end. These picks are very hard, so much harder than Fender Heavies, but I like that sound. I switched from 13 gauge strings to 11s, and somewhere around that time, I guess, I started experimenting with picks and found that the heavier pick gives me a beefier sound on the lighter strings. So, so there you have it. So Golden Gate mandolin picks. And I'll just say about picks, I'd encourage you to try out as many as you possibly can. Um, I think if you're serious about having a nice sound, you owe it to yourself to experiment with different pick thicknesses. Okay, so that said, I hold the pick between my thumb and my index finger very, very lightly. It's important, I think, to start really relaxed right here. If you're squeezing the pick really tightly, then the tension's going to run down your hand and into your wrist and into your arm, and that's going to keep you from playing in time, and especially at quicker tempos. So really loosely, really loosely. When I address the strings, I'm actually pulling down with the pick more so than playing above the strings and picking out. My wrist falls down, and I'm actually pulling down on the strings. Now, in order well, I'll say this, that along with that, I'm holding my hand, my thumb is this first joint here is locked, and my thumb curls up, and I'm holding the pick so that it meets the strings at a 45-degree angle. Okay, so if we have our string going like this, my pick is sort of hitting the strings like this. Okay, and here's what's funny. I'm not playing with the flat surface of the pick. I'm actually playing with the edge of the pick. So my hand comes up to the strings, and the pick meets the strings at a 45-degree angle. Let me get it up there so you can see it. And then that pick, I don't know if you can see this or not, but I'm pulling down on the string, and I'm resting the pick on the string below it. Okay? Like that. Pulling down with my thumb, and the pick comes to rest on the string below. The upstroke is almost like out. I come from almost from underneath the string and strike out and pull out. It's almost like the pick is moving in this direction. I pull down, and it snaps off the string and moves in towards the guitar, and then out. When I'm picking up, I'm picking almost out as much as I am coming up. So, okay, so you kind of see some of that. Okay, so sit back down here for a second. Okay, so let's see. What else can I tell you about this technique? I picked it up from my teacher Richie Hart at Berkeley. Gosh, over 15 years ago. And at the time, I just started studying with him, and I was in the process of practicing to play with my thumb like Wes Montgomery, and I've done that a lot over the years, and I love that sound. It's just I play rhythm and blues as well as jazz and Latin music, and oftentimes when we're playing with a drummer or a horn section, it gets really loud and it's hard to cut through, so I've gone back to playing with a pick. What I did in order to develop the technique was I just practiced downstrokes at first. So, maybe I play like a G minor pentatonic scale, and I start on the 3rd fret, 6th string, and I just pick down and have my pick come to rest on the string below it. Then pick, B flat, which is still on the 6th string, in the 6th fret, downstroke, again come to rest. Lean back so you can see my hand again. Okay. And then, I guess, let's see, there's no exact science here, but I did spend a lot of time studying the music of Wes Montgomery and George Benson and Grant Green and Kenny Burrell, and I think I can say with, I wouldn't say 100% certainty, but I can say that for the most part, those guys do not subscribe to this idea that you have to alternate your picking no matter where you're going. So they have a real almost horn-like phrasing on the guitar. And like I said, there are some exceptions to the rule, but I think we could say that if they were playing more than one note on the same string, that there would be some alternating picking, right? So if we were just playing, G down to F, we would go down, up, in order to get those notes. When we go to a new string, it's always going to be a downstroke. Again, not 100% of the time, but for the most part, what that means is that if we were playing, say, the G minor triad, which is 4th string, 5th fret, 3rd string, 3rd fret, 2nd string, 3rd fret, we would sweep down, right? But if we were coming backwards, they would be all downstrokes. Now, I can tell you right away that I've spent enough time with Grant Green that Grant will drag the pick back like Stevie Ray Vaughan. Right? Right? He would play. That's not something that I do a lot, but it is, again, part of my vocabulary, and I think you'd hear George Benson do that. You wouldn't really hear Wes do that because without the pick, he's playing with his thumb. That's really where my picking technique is modeled after is the thumb technique, and a lot of those phrases that I learned to play with my thumb, I just transferred with the pick. So to get that sound, I'm going to move the pick in the way that I would move my thumb. Right. Right. Okay. So again, just before I let you guys go, the idea here is we've got a rest stroke. We're coming to rest on the string below, and by pulling down through the strings, I think we get a little bit of a poppier sound on the note. Right? And it's funny, over the years I've actually noticed in terms of this hand position that a lot of really great guitar players use this similar hand position. You can watch Pat Metheny play, and although he holds the pick with these two fingers, he still has the same type of hand position, as does George Benson, as does Jim Hall. In fact, actually, if you watch Eddie Van Halen, he has the same hand position when he plays, and he could certainly get around the guitar. So again, I would take it slowly and work on just playing downstrokes where you nice and slow, so that you can practice with your pick coming to rest on the string below it. You know, I'll just say that one more thing. The beauty of that is that you don't have to stare at your right hand anymore. If you snap down on a note and your pick is resting on the string below it, you know exactly where your pick is in relation to all the other strings. Whereas if you were to pick like this and your hand was out in the middle of nowhere, without really looking, you don't have any idea where to go without looking. So there you go. I'd encourage you to give this a shot and see how it works for you. Again, if you have any questions about this lesson or any of the other lessons, you can go to www.belltowertrio.com and write me an email. This was a request by a student of mine to do a lesson on picking, so I'm happy to oblige. And if you guys have any more ideas on topics, please let me know, and I'd be happy to cover them. All right, thanks, and good luck.